The worst decision that we need to make is actually um, to put away the denial and really make sure we can see the mirror and say to ourselves, to our organization, that this is happening. Because when this is happening, we need to cut the costs, we need to amend our forecast, we need to retaliate and engage more with our client and suppliers.
Hi, my name is Andre Chandra, founder and CEO of Propelo Media. Leaders rise up in challenging times. In today's Ask an Expert series, we have Anthony Utomo, CEO of Utomo Deck, one of the leading roofing and wall metal companies in Indonesia with over 35 years of experience. He will be sharing his ground-level perspective on how COVID has impacted his home country of Indonesia, how it has affected transportation and logistics as governments try to halt the spread of the outbreak. Let's hear it from him. Anthony Utomo, thank you for being our guest today. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and your company?
Hi, so my name is Anthony Utomo. I'm from Indonesia, and we are working in the construction business. At the moment, we are manufacturing, designing, engineering, and installing at the same time metal roofing and anything related to the building material that attached to the crown of the building. So that includes like fall protection and then solar panel, flat roofing, those kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, you being in Indonesia, can you maybe share with us a little bit about what do you see at the ground level perspective of what's going on in that country during this COVID crisis?
Well, it's, as you might as well and the rest of the world know, it's a phase where no one has ever experienced before. So at that extent, I would say we are learning. I assume that's not only me personally, but my organization, the government, the community, and the whole strata of society actually in the same learning curve. What to do, what not to do. If you remember a couple months ago, I was, we were laughing a lot about people using masks, and then, you are not sick, but why you are using masks? We used to apply masks only for people who get sick. But somehow when the WHO advised Singapore, Japan declined so fast because they enforced the mask use. So then, okay, that's the wow and aha. So I think this wow and aha will keep rolling, and it's really our our job as a leader in organization, in a community, in whatever you are in the world, to ensure that we adapt as fast as the world adapt. Because the last thing you wanna have is people get disengaged, and we are on the last phase on the learning curve where everybody already adapt. As you might as well know, the world is changing, it or not. It's changing, and it's actually our responsibility to feeling the part that we should as a leader, to inspire our team, make sure the positivity is around. And if you see now, I'm actually in my office. I'm alone, so I don't use mask because of I want to speak clearly. But we are here. We try to give the positivity. We enforce physical distancing. We are the one of partial companies in Indonesia who get the license to still operate. But of course, we do it with full responsibility to ensure the safety of our people. So we just decrease the people in the office. We have a physical distancing minimum 1.5 meters, and we have protocols when you go in, go out, and really checking in and checking out to ensure everybody have adequate safety when they work.
Okay. Now, from what I've read, the Indonesian government is actually planning to cut off transportation between cities, between islands. How do you think that'll impact business and commerce, or maybe flow of food and supplies?
Let me rephrase it. Actually, they are not planning. They already executed that yesterday. So 24th of April, which is yesterday, on Friday, they cut off all the planes. There are some minor planes that are still flying in the morning, but of course, per today, there is no commercial flights that bring people from one side to another side. In Java, where most of Indonesian is living in, there are some restriction on the land transportation, but logistic is obviously is gonna be it's like the blood in the vein. So we need to ensure the logistic is distributing, and people cannot move, but people need to eat. So I think in that sense, we really support the government and its initiative. But if you wanna have my 5 cents, yeah, probably it could be better if we had some planning outside. But if we sit on the greater context, I think that's the way to go, man. 217 million people, that's not an easy number to control. And I think they just had to do it. It's just, we don't know when, and it just happened yesterday.
Oh, wow. But people working in logistics, or if they're in the food trade, then they get special permission to distribute these materials, of course, right?
Of course. I think that's a necessity. And if they don't, the business community gonna be the first one to complain to the government, because I think it's the basic necessity for our workers and for our community. But if you asked me earlier about the business side, well, we have projects outside Java. So we have 17,000 islands in Indonesia. So it is impossible to only work in Java. We are building now an airport in Makassar. We are building now a sports complex in Papua, where actually there is a national sports competition gonna be held on July. So a lot of things are happening, but we cannot fly people out, and people who finish the job cannot fly back. I think the government do it deliberately, in a sense that there is a Muslim holiday, which is a big festive for us here in Indonesia. It's gonna happen in the next month. So there is a fasting season for our brothers and sisters who believe in Islam, and this month is a very sacred month, where at the end of the month, of course, it's like Thanksgiving or Christmas in Indonesia, where the family will gather around and meet up each other. I think they do it deliberately to cut off the crowd, and until now, I think it's a very good and bold move. They do it way earlier, so people who try to go back, they get circumcised at the first doorstep. And
very similar to
what's that?
Yeah. Oh, very similar to what the Chinese government did during Chinese New Year, and during the early days of the COVID outbreak.
Right.
Yeah.
So I said, like our company, we try to support the government initiative. Even before they cut off all the transportation, we used to have this concept of having a sacred month and then meet up with the family. But looking at the pandemic, of course, this is something that's going to endanger not only the person himself, but the people who are going to be reunited in the office. Right. So we put a strict policy so people cannot go back to their respective home. We call it mudik. And then we had some protocols to ensure, even if they leave during days after the festive, we have a strict protocol to have a geotag. And then if they go to doctor, we have a preferred doctor who basically you cannot hanky-panky with the doctor. If you are really sick, then you need to go home, that's fine. But in principle, we need to ensure that we support government initiative, and this is one part of it.
Okay. And no, I'm pretty sure it's affecting all kinds of businesses, and your business too, and the business community in Indonesia. So as a leader and as an entrepreneur, what was the biggest decision you had to make since the outbreak?
So I think the biggest decision for me is fortunately it's not to lay off people. Our people has been our most priority checklist at the moment. We want to make sure they got the payroll in full, and thanks God we still able to pay them in full. And at the end of the festive, of course, there is a term of THR, Tunjangan Hari Raya. sort of like the 13th payroll, and we have secured that, thank God. So as I mentioned to you, the worst decision that we need to make is actually to put away the denial and really make sure we can see the mirror and say to ourselves, to our organization, that this is happening. Because when this is happening, we need to cut the costs, we need to amend our forecast, we need to retaliate and engage more with our client and suppliers. So, these are not so easy because most of my projects is happening outside Java. So you can imagine so many remote areas where there has been a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear in my team, and they cannot go back home. So I think facing this together and being in the greater group to make sure that we are in this together and we're gonna take care of them is something that I'm so proud of my team. Of course, we have 6 people resign, and that's fine. It's their choice. Most of them, they have this inner fear that they cannot reunite with their family on time. Next month, basically. So 2 weeks ago, yeah, we got a few people, which is their choice. But for people who really support the organization and facing the truth that we need to adapt, we need to change, and the change needs to start from ourselves, I think it's a big decision from my team, and I really appreciate them for taking that. To make this a really serious situation and not being denial and thinking that business is as usual.
I see. Now, to be clear, for some of us who don't know, so some people actually resign ahead of this busy travel season that's coming up in a month,
Right.
so they don't miss that window. So they're not being restricted to move.
Yes.
It's that important for them to be able to go home to their
Yeah,
family.
I mean, as I mentioned to you, this is a tradition, Andre. This is a tradition. That means we cannot deny how big the magnitude is if this year is going to be different for most of us. But as I mentioned to you, I think there has to be a balance between keeping our greater community safe and keeping the tradition on your family.
Okay.
And I respect people who chose to be with their family, and our management, letting them choose what they think is best. They are grown-up people, but of course, when things getting better, our doors is always open if they want to join us again. But obviously, the majority, which is staying at home and support us, whether it's because partial of us is working from home, the middle management and the essential people on the top management are still going to the office from time to time. So these are the people and the heroes of the organization because they keep that money coming flow and giving food to the whole families that is dependent on our organization.
Now, actually, before we started the interview, just offline, you were talking about asking for accountability, greater accountability from your employees, even though it's a very difficult time right now. Maybe you can help elaborate that. How do you ask for more accountability when it's such a sensitive time like today, like these days?
Actually, it's we can agree to disagree. I believe this is the best time to strip off all the grease and the process that has been nagging us all along. And in our EMP class, we call it the monkey behind us. I think it's really the job of leaders. So me personally and my top management to ensure that all of us are aligned and have this sense of urgency. So we had a town hall probably 2 weeks ago, and a lot of people raised their concern. Is there gonna be any layoff? Is there gonna be people that's gonna dipensiunkan? So I said to them, the top management is focusing on the people right now. So if we are on the same boat, please share some entrepreneurship values on what you do. Because when the boat goes down, it's not only me. The whole boat is gonna go down. So I think it's really important to engage from day to day and time to time, so we get that sense of urgency in the same page. And I wouldn't say it's uh, impossible to make sure that that accountability is there, because I mean there is an old saying in Indonesia, you know, when you are made of gold, whether you put it on the lake or you put it on the sea, you're gonna be still a gold. But if you are not a gold, then whether they put you in the jewelry store, you're not gonna be a gold. So I'm a believer in that context. So in the sense that I think this is actually really the time to separate the lions and the lambs. In the context that naturally people who are not having the same level of awareness and loyalty to the organization, it's not gonna stick that long with us, because this is hard time.
Yeah. No, I didn't disagree with you at all. As a matter of fact, during difficult times is when your culture really shines through, and you can see who is aligned with your culture, company culture, and those who are not, right? So going through this, did you do a self-discovery as well? What company culture of yours really shined through, that became really evident? Oh yes, my top people really have this. When you kind of see it through the lens of this COVID crisis.
Right. I think the clarity is actually on the table right now, because in the past, the collective accountability is not there. But now, since that sense of urgency is on the plate, and then I have sort of like the time and attention, not me, like we have the time and attention to have that inward looking and really check the process, really check what is happening. So I think this is we have this culture called mau bekerja sama. It's like we are really looking towards teamwork. It's so amazing to see that so many people at the same time, when we are on the same page, can really make up a lot of differences. Because in the past, there are a lot of distortion, right? Projects are running in, and then issues from people outside. But when we have that time to really have a self-reflection as an organization and engage really intensively, whether you are from home or you are from office, it really helps us to see the clarity, because this is, especially in my organization, this is the thing that we don't have for such a long time. The message from the top management has not been cascaded down that clear. But during this time, because we have less and less distortion, I think we take the liberty to strip off all of those unnecessary internal inefficiencies, not only in cost, but also the engagement, and then the clarity of what the organization want to be, and have that clarity not only in the top management but also until the clerical staff, because we need to. It's essential. If they see companies around us in the newspaper, people are laid off or they get paid 30%, 20%. So we are not a big company, but we proudly say that we are really looking into our family, and employees are our families. So we are committed to prioritize them, even above suppliers. So yeah.
Okay. Great advice. Any questions that I haven't asked that you want to get off your chest? What is the one question that I haven't asked yet?
Well, you asked me about self-reflection. So I think not only me, but the whole world now have time and attention to really see through, what are we missing, having gratitude and being grateful. I think not that different with the rest of the world, but I told my kids that we actually in a very special phase, not only in our family, but in humanity, where we can see um, things are upside down. Hugs and kiss could be weapons, and letting your parents in their home is a reflection of love. So who's the winner out of this? I would say it's actually the earth, the earth, the nature, because um, with so many things happening, it's impeccable that if we deny that life is fragile, and we actually wasted so many resources, in our lifetime, giving a lot of pollution and really degrading the earth and its resources. So there
Yeah.
are a lot of rates and articles in the internet that I really enjoy, because I think in a sense we accelerate the earth and the environment and the nature accelerate to sort of like recover way faster on the past 6 months compared to years ago. And at some extent, I hope that this really giving a sense of greater context to many of citizens out there, citizens of the planet, that we are just guests. We are not the masters. So we need to be aware and mindful and be grateful on the next many years to come, because we need uh, to keep this earth to our many generations to come.
Wise words. So Anthony, thank you again for being our guest today. And I wish you the best. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. Everyone's feeling it, but we're in the same boat together. So thank you. I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you.